Chapter 12. Assignment Jyaki. Brighton, Florida, December 13th, 1998. 10 days remain until Inyana's tournament. With only a little over a week before coming face to face with Inyana and Hui once again, Jake and Yamura have been standing completely still for hours. In their mind, a furious battle rages on. Since stamina is not required in an image training match, the two can battle so long as their body hangs on. Yamura leaps up, channeling his aura into two black flames around his fists. Slamming his fists together, Yamura unleashes a typhoon of mystical fire down at Jake. Jake attempts to dodge, but Yamura drops down in front of him with a swift kick. The blow knocks the teen directly into the flames. Jake screams as he feels like every inch of his body has been submerged in lava. Despite their battle not being real, the teen's mind is able to convince him that the pain is. "You're too slow," Yamura growls in annoyance. "Any good fighter would be able to dodge that." Jake stands, smoke rolling off his battered form. "We keep going. You don't have any time to waste." The teen rushes Yamura, striking with a combo of fast jabs. Yamura blocks both punches, retaliating with a roundhouse kick. The blow knocks Jake back, but he shakes it off. "Your movements still don't feel like Hui's. Stop holding back. If we're going to overcome him, I need to know what it feels like fighting him for real." "All right. I'll be focusing on strength more like Hui, and less on technique. Remember, the power of Hui's attacks will be even stronger. Because of his followers, he and I are no longer equals. Hui possesses more energy than I do. I can only imitate him to an extent." "Just do it," Jake says. "Even an approximation will be better than nothing. If I can't measure up to even a shadow of his power, I have no business even stepping foot onto the battlefield against him." "Alma Tiga Straub." Yamura throws his hands out, hitting Jake with an incredible unseen force of pressure. The attack knocks the teen back, Jake struggling to shake it off. Yamura closes the distance between them, engaging in a flurry of close-quarters combat. Manifesting his energy and condensing it into a dagger-like shard, Jake maneuvers around Yamura's dark energy attacks, his aura blade flashing as he delivers rapid strikes aimed at exploiting any openings in Yamura's defenses. Sensing the overwhelming power of Yamura's dark energy, Jake makes the tactical decision to retreat momentarily, creating distance between himself and his opponent. Yamura unleashes a powerful barrage of dark energy blasts towards Jake, the sheer force of his assault threatening to overwhelm Jake's defenses. The teen responds by dodging and deflecting the blasts, his movements becoming more fluid and controlled as he adapts to the onslaught. Yamura drops to his knees, ripping up a huge section of the ground. As Jake skids back, the ground beneath him rises to toss him higher into the air and off balance. Yamura leaps into the air to meet the teen, striking him several times with fast jabs. Jake tries his best to defend, but several of the punches connect, allowing the Sakari to deliver another kick. The kick sends Jake crashing back to the ground hard. An impact crater swells out around the teen, and he screams out in pain, blood spraying from his mouth. The sudden trauma jolts Jake back to his full consciousness and the outside world. "I still have a long way to go if I don't want to fall even farther behind," Jake groans. "With your power still bound, that will not be an easy task. It would be in our best interest for you to leave the serious battles to me. I will kill Hui and Inyana. All I need for you to do is clear out the refuse in our way towards that end goal." "You really haven't learned a damn thing about me in all this time together, if you think I'm going to let you hog all the glory for yourself. Hui killed Claire, and Yana killed my mother. I have just as much reason to want them dead as you do." "Then you had better train even harder. You are nowhere near ready for either of them. Jake takes a deep breath and focuses energy inward once more. Yeah, I know. Shut up and let's get back to it. In Delgion, the detention towers. December 13th, 1998. Two Knights of Solomon approach Danny's cell door. Bettine has been waiting for this moment for what seems like days. In reality, she has no idea how long she has been confined to this cell. There's nothing to do, and Danny has been left all alone with only her thoughts to keep her company. Apprentice Livingston, Christopher Harrison says. Are they ready for me? Danny asks. They are, the other knight, Dominic Warren, says. Danny takes a deep breath. She has been waiting for this moment. Whether the elders side with or against her, the teen knows that waiting for a decision is far worse. Let's get on with it. Don't want to keep the elders waiting. We've been following your assignments, Warren says. If it is any consolation, most of the knights support you. A lot of us would have done the same thing in your situation. I can't imagine being without my magic, Harrison adds. I don't know what I would do. Thanks, Danny says as they place her in restraints and open her cell door. That actually does mean a lot. I was feeling like I was in short supply of allies in here. Don't count Lieutenant Nando out just yet. He had to arrest you for protocol, but we could see the torment it caused him. I think you'll find him still very much in your corner, Warren says. I hope so. That kinda shocked me. I guess I let my guard down too much. I went so long looking out for myself first and foremost, that once I started getting friends here, I forgot what it was like to be alone. It sucks. The knights escort Danny to the council hall where Master Deoda, Captain Arisai, and Vatus are already present. As Danny walks by them, none of them will look her in the eyes. Well, that isn't a good sign. I guess they're going to make an example out of me, Danny thinks. I'm sorry, Jake. Doesn't seem like I'll be able to help you out this time. The elders begin to take their seats at the front of the hall. Danny finds their pomp and circumstance a bit showy. After roughly 8 minutes, 9 members of the Elder Council are present. At least 7 members must be present to make any decisions regarding the city or its affairs, but 9 are preferred. Should an even number come to a disagreement, no decision would be able to be made on the matter. Seated at the head of the others is the oldest member of the council, Matthias Guerin. To his left are Kadri Giaconda, Julian Fauve, Danira Lori, and Meliodas Pola. To Guerin's right are elders Che Olgstrom, Ernesto Urias, Ellis Stom, and Celine Dauphine. These old-timers sure think a lot of themselves, Danny says to herself. No wonder so many people around here think they're out of touch. They're more worried about their displays of power and traditions than actually making this city run better. Apprentice Livingston, Elder Guerin says. We are going to present to you the charges for which you are accused. Please do not respond until all of the charges have been read. At the appropriate time, we will give you a chance to respond. Apprentice Livingston, you are charged with impersonating a member of the Knights of Solomon, and using that disguise to illegally leave the city and enter the Yetzirah. The Yetzirah is a prohibited area, and mages are restricted from entering it without authorization, Elder Fauve says. The charges levied against you are severe. Do you understand what has been laying out before you? Elder Guerin asks. Oh, is this where I respond? Danny asks. Elder Guerra nods, slightly irritated. Several of the other elders murmur in agitation. I understand, Danny says, and I have no regrets. I accept all that has been presented as fact. I did all of those things. The elders are shocked, immediately breaking into chaotic discussions with each other. Captain Arisai seems pleased by Danny's answer. Good girl. I can work with that honesty. Had you denied the charges, I do not think I would have been able to smooth this over. I am sure all of you know all about Inyana and the invitation she made to all the monsters and nasties across the world. I expected this council to assign a task force in response to go to Jyaki Island and combat the threat to prevent any of the creatures from obtaining the Yazatan artifact promised as a prize. When I learned that there would be no official response from Endelgian, I took it upon myself to do something about it. Since I no longer have any magical ability, I had to first remedy that problem. I commissioned Master Hagano to make me a tool that could bypass the wait time and give me some magical energy back early. In order to fill that request, Master Hagano required the corpse of a Draugr. So, I tracked one down and killed it with Lieutenant Nando's assistance. Lieutenant Nando was dispatched to find and apprehend you, I believe, not to hunt down the Draugr, Elder Falv says, looking at some handwritten notes. That is not correct, ma'am. Captain Arisai speaks up. The time has come for the captain to become involved. We had been receiving reports of enhanced revenant activity along the border wall of Checkpoint 4. The intelligence patterns exhibited by some of these creatures suggested that a Draugr may be present. You can all find this information in the shift reports of the checkpoint guards. I sent Vaughtus to track down and eliminate the threat. That is when he ran into Apprentice Livingston. Lieutenant Nando was sent in no capacity to find her. Neither of us had any knowledge of her being outside of the city walls. And when Lieutenant Nando arrived, Apprentice Livingston was beyond Checkpoint 4, actively engaged in battle with the Draugr, Elder Pola asks. That is correct, Vaughtus says. But there were actually 2 Draugr, not 1. Danny was able to defeat the first, but the second one came out of nowhere and devoured the injured one. Once the second Draugr mutated into a blaspheme, it took both of us to bring it down. I do not believe that anyone less than a master could have defeated a revenant of that blaspheme's strength. So you're saying that if you had not shown up, Apprentice Livingston would have been defeated by the Draugr? Elder Guerin asks. Without her magic, it is highly likely, Vaughtus replies. Elder Guerin nods, trying to conceal a grin. He feels as if he has just delivered a successful gotcha question. And she would then have been consumed by the Draugr, causing it to again mutate, correct? He continues with this line of questioning, hoping to further ensnare them. That is what happens when a revenant consumes another being. With enough life energy, or in a Draugr's case, magical energy, it will induce mutations to become even more powerful and intelligent, Vaughtus says. Apprentice Livingston, having no way to defend herself against such a threat, went out into the territory of the creatures, to fight them at a disadvantage on their home turf. Had you not intervened, she would have been consumed and created a significantly stronger creature that would have been a greater threat to the safety and security of our forces, Elder Guerin says. I'm not entirely sure about that, Vaughtus says. What? Elder Guerin is surprised by his response. Well, since she had no magic, I don't think the Draugr would have gained anything from eating her. It may have just killed her and left her to revive as an Orek. Danny shudders at the thought of rising again as a mindless corpse, stalking the wastes for eternity. While the Draugr may have not posed a greater threat to this city, Apprentice Livingston put everyone's lives at risk, opening herself up to the possession, or at the very least, put the lives of whatever team would be dispatched to rescue her at risk. Bottom line, she snuck out of the city, impersonated a higher-ranked mage, and acted in general disregard for the well-being of all other mages in this city, Elder Falve says. What she did was see that her leadership was doing nothing to combat the threat of the Sakari and Yana, and her call for all monsters to gather together. She took it upon herself to do something to fight. Even though she currently has no magic, she did whatever she could to counter that handicap. We should be proud that we have mages of that kind of grit and determination, not holding trials for their punishment. Lieutenant Nando, you would suggest that she receives no penalty for her crimes? Elder Pola asks. That sets a dangerous precedent. I recommend that she be officially dispatched to Jyaki Island with this council's full authorization. If her actions are sanctioned, then she will be breaking no rules and going, Captain Akanzi Arasai suggests. Elder Pola stares at Danny with concern. You would go to the island to fight, even if we told you it was forbidden. I did what I thought was right before, and I will do it again. What were any of you doing to avert this disaster? Have any of you stepped up? I have no magic, but here I am doing everything I can to get back into the fight, Danny says, raising her voice at the elders. Before any of the elders can chastise the teen, Akanzi speaks up. The girl is right. We should not be here judging her. She has shown more bravery than anyone else in this room. She impersonated your second in command, Elder Gweren shouts. Akanzi looks at Vatus. If I recall correctly, I sent both of you out to the waste to hunt down the Draugr, but you were delayed and Apprentice Livingston went on ahead. Vatus's eyes widen in surprise. He is shocked that the Honorable Captain Arasai is lying in front of the elders so blatantly to protect Danny. Yes, sir. The Checkpoint 4 guards had been reporting increased disturbances by a revenant with increased intelligence. Then why were the knights not sent along? Why would you assign an apprentice with no magical ability to such a dangerous task? Apprentice Livingston's previous experience against revenants made this an invaluable exercise. If she is going to continue using her lone advancement magic, we must absolutely ensure that she is able to continue to hand herself in the field and carry out missions. Revenants are the only real threats we can train against in a fairly contained environment. And our instincts weren't wrong. Apprentice Livingston was able to face another dangerous situation, this time without the use of any magic, and still survive. I think we need more mages like her, not discourage her kind of dedication and resourcefulness, Vatus says. Why does it feel like you're covering for the girl? Elder Gweren asks. Maybe because you've believed her to be guilty of something since the first day she arrived. I do not feel as though any of you have given this girl a fair chance, Akanzi continues. Apprentice Livingston, did your efforts in the waste prove worth the risk? Elder Gioconda asks. Losing the life of even a single of our comrades makes it feel like I made a mistake. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, Danny admits. Are you speaking about this Chris Orcus? Elder Gioconda asks. Danny nods. He died trying to help me kill the Draugr. We were caught completely off guard by the appearance of the second Draugr. If it weren't for Vatus, I'd have been killed by the second one. The second Draugr ate the first one, mutating to a level of strength I have never seen before in a revenant, Bodice explains. I do not believe that anyone less than a master could have defeated that creature. If anything, I fear that we may have witnessed the evolution of a true blaspheme in our presence. I am more interested in this mysterious mage that you found in the waste that we have no record of, Elder Falve says. He claimed to have been a member of the Knights that fought to keep Checkpoint 5 from falling to the undead, Bodice says. But I know that to be impossible. That battle occurred almost 200 years ago. He could not have possibly been who he claimed. And you were unable to retrieve his body for verification, Elder Falve asks. He was consumed by the Draugr after it mutated. There was nothing left of him to retrieve, Bodice says. Could the Draugr be interrogated? Perhaps it retains some of this mage's memories, Elder Pola suggests. That would be quite impossible, Bodice answers. The Draugr was delivered by myself to Master Hagano, to be fashioned into a magical tool for Apprentice Livingston. He delivered it for me? Danny thinks in surprise. I thought all of my belongings were seized. That is against protocol, Elder Falve says, agitated. That creature was evidence in this hearing. The Draugr's shelf life would not have waited for this hearing. Had we waited, the creature would have been useless to everyone. I made the decision that I thought best benefited the future of our city, Bodice says. Elder Guerin begins to massage his temples, fighting the beginning of a headache. This hearing is not going to give us any of the answers that we need. The answers you need, or the answers you want? Kanzi asks. Be careful, Captain. You should be mindful of your tone. You're starting to sound like Master Forgeron, Elder Guerin cautions. Apologies, Kanzi says with a slight nod. The elders confer with each other for several minutes, leaving the rest of the mages in attendance to wait. Why did you guys cover for me? Danny asks. Because sometimes the rules do not favor what is morally right. The elders would have us sit back and not interfere with the world, but they fail to realize that what affects the world will eventually reach us here. While I do not approve of the way you conducted yourself, I believe that your heart was in the right place. I do not want to see someone be punished for just trying to do the right thing, Kanzi says. Will this get you in trouble too? Kanzi chuckles. The elders would not dare to try punish me. They understand that their own popularity is too low to make a stand against the knights. I fully expect that they will give in to all of my suggestions and pass them off as their own. Suggestions? Danny's confused. You made others? I requested that you be put in charge of the expedition to Jyaki, not just go along for the ride. Me lead? Are you serious? They won't authorize the sending of any masters or knights. They feel that we stand zero chance of victory against the monsters Enyana has assembled. They will be sending you as an opportunity to be rid of the trouble that you posed for them. How is that good? Danny asks, horrified. Do you agree with them that we can't win? Of course not. I wouldn't be sending any of our mages on a mission that I don't believe that they can survive. The elders underestimate you, something I hope the monsters of Jyaki will do as well. And if we fail, the elders no longer have to worry about me, Danny whispers. They never wanted me here, did they? Akanzi shakes his head. Most of them fear that you've been tainted by your old master. Nothing you do will ever be able to prove to them your loyalty. This is an issue regarding the elders, and is nothing that you or I can control. The elders return after the deliberation. Danny waits with bated breath. She is nervous about the outcome. As usual, when she is before the Council of Elders, her entire future is in their hands. You will be sent to Jyaki Island under the recommendation of Captain Arisai, Elder Gioconda says. Danny looks over at Akanzi, acknowledging he was correct in his prediction. Because of the danger of this mission, you will not be going alone. A team will be assigned to you. You are receiving more responsibility than an apprentice has ever been granted. Do you understand the seriousness of this situation? I do, Danny replies. I will give this mission my all, and will not fail. Because she aided you in your impersonation of Lieutenant Nando, Apprentice Allure Kever will accompany you. No, please, Danny shouts. Please don't involve Allure. She isn't a combat mage. Her outburst angers the elders. You both should have thought of that before. It will be your responsibility to ensure that she returns here alive. That's dirty, Bottas whispers. Even for them. Captain Arisai tenses, struggling not to speak up. Look for the elders to dump all of their enemies onto this mission. They now have free rein to send mages they dislike to their deaths, with no fear of backlash. They oppose sending any forces to Jyaki. They have twisted this around to benefit themselves no matter the outcome. Joining you will also be Provosts Dane Sino, Jonathan Butler, Zachariah Fisher, Adabin Zuberi, Lillian Rom, Alcine Porter, Edward Malenko, Chud Rahele, Chris Guerrero, Dearden Javad, Zaya Yim, and apprentice Caitlin Abbott. They're all mages that have survived missions with Danny before, Bottas observes. What are they playing at? I am unsure. Provost Yim's loyalty has never been questioned before. I do not understand why they wish to be rid of her as well, Akanzi says, also confused. They aren't doing this just because of me, Danny whispers. They're also sending a message to Master Forgeron. What do you mean? Bottas asks. While Master Forgeron is on suspension, they're sending away the mages they know are loyal to him, in addition to the ones I've fought beside. Think about it. 2 of these missions that I survived were led by Master Forgeron. These mages not only worked beside me, they worked for him. Master Forgeron earned the respect of everyone that survived a mission with him. The elders fear his ideas so much they would send away their own mages to die just to be rid of his support. They can hide this by making it look like they're just giving me a team they know I've worked with before and have synergy with. No matter what happens on Jyaki, the elders win, Danny explains. Well, Elder Falv says, do you accept these terms? Danny nods. Of course. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to salvage this situation and avert the potential crisis that Inyana's tournament poses. I cannot speak for the members of the team. I will have to go back to each and ask them if they are interested. Jyaki Island is protected by Yazatan magic, Elder Gioconda says. From here, we are unable to ascertain its location. You will be unable to use teleportation magic to reach Jyaki. You'll have to go by one of the ships enchanted by Inyana. Be very careful on that ship, Elder Guerin says. It is likely that many of the enemies will not be too keen to follow Inyana's rule of no violence before reaching the island. As humans, they will target you first and foremost. If you use the ship as your own opportunity to remove some of the threats, do so, Elder Pola says. Any monster you can prevent from reaching Jyaki, is one less we have to worry about getting a hold of a Yazatan weapon. I will do all that I am able, Danny says. We will not allow the artifact to fall into the hands of monsters. If that is all you have, you are all dismissed, Elder Guerin says. Vatus lingers, surprising Captain Erisai. There is more. We did not just encounter the Draugr out in the wastes. There were things much more dangerous. We are aware of the mutations of the revenants that exist, Lieutenant, Elder Guerin says dismissively. Both Draugr and blasphemes have been observed before. I'm not talking about those. There's something beyond even those mutations. We fought not one, but two creatures. They claimed to be among something called the D Inferni. They were intelligent. They could think and speak like men. It took using my Savage Colosseum to defeat them. Something beyond a blaspheme? Elder Falv says. That cannot be. There is no record of such a creature existing. It is true. They're organized. They said they served a being called the King in the Dark. The news of the D Inferni, beings that have evolved beyond the powers of normal revenant undead, spreads like wildfire among the elders of Endelgian, sparking a commotion of whispers and murmurs that reverberates throughout the halls of power. At first, disbelief hangs heavy in the air as the elders grapple with the implications of this startling revelation. They exchange incredulous glances, their expressions a mixture of shock and apprehension, as they try to comprehend the magnitude of the threat that now looms on the horizon. Undead creatures having a social hierarchy? A king, even? Elder Polo whispers. That can't be possible. Revenants function only on instinct. They're incapable of that kind of behavior. I think our knowledge of the Yetzira is severely lacking. The D Inferni aren't something new. These creatures seemed ancient, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of years old, Vatus says. Do you have any evidence to support your claim? Elder Falv asks. No, I didn't exactly have the foresight to bring a video camera along, and dragging one along with me for miles was not an option. We only had one scroll, and we used it to bring back the Draugr's corpse for Master Hagano. We will need to verify these claims independently, Elder Falv says. We will send our own selected team out to investigate. That is a very bad idea, Vatus says, adamantly. You don't understand how dangerous these things are. If I didn't have a way to shut off their powers, we would have both been killed. Then we will send the team prepared with that knowledge. If such a threat does indeed exist, we cannot tolerate to potentially attack us at a later time. Whatever is out there must be eliminated, Elder Falv says. I would like to lead this expedition, Captain Erisai says. I assure you that no one will take your caution to heart as much as I, he tells Vatus. If we are not allowed to go to Jyaki Island and face the threats there, allow us to face the other threat with all of our power and enthusiasm. Vatus nods. I request that I also be allowed to accompany you. My Savage Colosseum has already proven capable of defeating the creatures. We will deliberate and convene again later with our decision. You are all dismissed, Elder Guerin says. After the elders dismiss, Danny walks out with Vatus and Captain Erisai. That went better than expected, Danny says. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Vatus says. I wanted to let you know that I had a plan. But you had to be left in the dark for your reactions to be genuine. We had to work against the elders on this one behind their backs. That is becoming more and more a frequent occurrence, Akanzi says, concerned. I do not agree with the methods of those who wish to tear down our society, but they are not wrong about the injustice prevalent within our system. The elders are not incorruptible. I fear that they may have become too concerned with their own positions and power, and lost sight of the bigger picture. Allura is not going to be happy about being assigned to this mission, Danny says. I don't know what to do. It's going to be too dangerous for her and Apprentice Abbott. They aren't fighters. Allura's magic specifically is for covert operations and infiltration. Her disguises and glamours won't be much help against the monsters. Maybe she will surprise you, Vada says. I've known Allura for years. I'm sure that she's picked up a few tricks to hold her own that no one will suspect. I hope so, Danny says, still concerned. It'll be hard fighting at my best while still trying to keep her safe. I am curious about the item Master Hagano has constructed for you, Akanzi says. A lot of risk was undertaking to see this tool made. It had better be useful. It will be, Danny says confidently. Master Hagano is an expert in his field. If he needed a Draugr to construct this tool for me, then it must be powerful. What do you think about the other problem? Akanzi asks Vatus. I think a war is coming, Vatus whispers.